Hey everybody, it's Justin Merrills. I brought my boy Josh Smith here, and we are here to talk to you about some recent stuff going on. We're going to do a little podcast style, so just, a little bit differently. We're here to talk to you about recent comments made by MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred, and basically he said Oakland and Tampa Bay got to ship up or shape out. So, at this point in time, got to just kind of see what we're going to kind of start with it. So I guess we'll start off with Tampa Bay, just kind of how they've been.
So, honestly, I'm thinking that with Tampa Bay, they just ship out of there and they start over in another city.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the attendance it's pretty poor. I mean, this year currently it's about 15,000. Last year was about 15,000. Year before, 15,000. When they made the playoffs last time, it was almost 18,000. That's okay. But, I mean, they've been cellar dwellers for attendance so long, and it's kind of been an issue. So, I guess, hypothetically, with the Trop, the way it's at, potentially where...
I say Montreal.
Yeah?
Bring back the Expo.
All right.
Not per se just Montreal, but I think that's the best location so far. Because right before the season begins, when you have the Jays come into Olympic Stadium, they bring a lot of people, a lot of excitement. You always see the signs in the crowd. Bring back the Expos. And I think it can happen. They have the money, they have the fans, they have the stadium, they have the history of baseball being there before. And though it wasn't the best in terms of attendance...
Oh, no, Montreal attendance was not good.
No, at least they had a team before, so it's not like a totally new venue for the city.
It's true.
Yeah, that's really it. I mean, there's a bunch of other cities across the states that could support a baseball team. I mean, you have Louisville. Mm-hmm. Louisville could...
It was just going back with the Montreal thing, like attendance-wise, just for, I guess everyone kind of watching. It's been pretty good. It's about 45,000 plus each, the exhibition games they've been playing in Toronto. It's a lot better than, how they closed out Montreal. They were averaging about maybe 10,000 when they left in 2004. So, I mean, they're good. They're going back at it. Olympic Stadium's not too bad. Can hold about 46,000, so that's Major League level. Mm-hmm. But I think realistically, if they were to stay in Montreal full-time, they would have to build a new stadium. But Olympic Stadium would be the quick fix at this point in time if they were to move Tampa, say, alrighty.
So this goes back to my last question. Do you think a rebuild should happen, a total rebuild, or do you think they should just...
Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
They're doing fine already. They've got a wild card spot the way things are going.
Do they?
They do.
I did not know that.
They are one up on the Yankees for that last spot.
Oh, well then. I mean, I don't know. That's a tough one because...
They've got the playoffs. They're playoff bound right now, and it looks like, I think, realistically, the fact that there's little fan support, I guess enough is enough. It's been 19 years.
Well, that's the thing. How long do you wait before something has to give?
Oh, I guess. I don't know.
Because, I mean, they're not exactly an old team. They're not, by any means, the worst team.
Well, they're the youngest franchise in Major League Baseball.
What's
Them
that?
and the Diamondbacks.
Well, I mean, okay, so they're not old. The only thing that really, really, really is poor is their attendance.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, since that one aspect of the attendance is so poor, I think that ruins the whole vibe in Tampa. Mm-hmm. I mean, because it's almost like this is how I think of it. You know how when the Jays come to Seattle, it's almost like a home game?
Of course.
Yeah, it's like the same thing. When the Rays play a home game, I don't even know half the time who they're rooting for.
Yeah.
I mean, Longoria hits a home run.
It's no one.
Yeah, no one's cheering, there's no fan support. It's just...
Mm-hmm. And they have the population, too. I mean, they've got they've got about 2.8 million right in Tampa Bay. Not to mention North Florida is a pretty big population, but I don't know, it doesn't seem like a legitimate option going forward with Tampa Bay. I'm sorry any Tampa Bay fans watching, but there's no way. So I guess, considering it's the AL East, we've got Baltimore, New York, Boston, Toronto. What do we got here? There's a few decent options. I'd say there's four pretty good options.
Well, I mean, like I was mentioning to you yesterday, imagine though, a Jays and Expos.
Yeah, of course. I think
That'd be
realistically,
great.
the Expos going forward, they do need to be in the AL this time because the NL wasn't exactly their strong suit.
No. Were they in the NL really?
At least.
Wow, that's why. That's
Because
weird.
Toronto wanted an NL team, they couldn't get it, so when the American League bid came out, they went for it.
That's odd.
Yeah.
I mean,
They were going to get the Giants, actually.
oh yeah, true. That's true. I mean, they've created great players in the Montreal system. Vlad.
Yeah, Russell Martin, too.
Yeah, Vlad, Martin,
Peter
Martinez. Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Really?
I mean, they're definitely not no names, that's for sure.
Mm.
But Tampa, who does Tampa have?
Longoria.
No, I mean like legends almost.
I think realistically it's more of like a JUCO kind of place, you know?
They've had no one really, really special.
Kind of stuff up.
Although
Florida just won the College World Series, though.
they did, yes, but
It's their first time ever, which is pretty exciting.
I don't know. I just don't see baseball going forward in Tampa. I mean, honestly, any sport in Tampa is a big flop unless it's football. And
Lightning's not bad.
I don't know. I mean, even though they have a lot of star power on the Lightning, they just lost Drouin. I mean, they still have Stamkos, but they're just not drawing fans.
Yeah.
So the Panthers, they just got Ekblad, their first pick.
Yeah. Nothing.
Didn't draw any support. Didn't have any big hype going in.
Well, the thing is, Florida's got the population. They just don't seem to have the fans, especially when it comes to stuff like baseball and hockey, which is a little disappointing. But hey, there's nothing really new.
And actually, I was thinking about this just before we started videotaping this. Louisville, because they don't have a professional sports team really in the whole state of Kentucky. So, I mean, since you have such a small population, it'd be perfect. That way the whole city or even the whole state could get behind one team, kind of like the whole country of Canada gets behind the Jays.
Of course.
Because when you have, for example, in New York, there's like 20 different professional sports teams.
10, yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's just, you know what I mean. There's a whack ton of teams, and there's so many to pick from. There's the Knicks, the Rangers, the
NYCFC, the Red Bulls.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's
Yankees,
so many to think
Jets,
of.
Giants.
Yeah, I can't even think of all of them.
Fuck.
Exactly, it's just way too much. Whereas wouldn't it be nice if a whole state just had Louisville baseball team? That's it.
Well, Kentucky is pretty good for their sports. Obviously, the Kentucky Derbies every year.
Well, of
That's
course.
pretty good. And also Louisville for the college. They've been pretty passionate about football, baseball, basketball, and you kind of name it. I mean, Louisville's kind of showed up. The Louisville UK rivalry's been going on there. I like it. I think realistically, I mean, they have a population of about 615,000, but I mean, realistically, you probably get some support from the Carolinas, probably a bit from Tennessee as well, with Louisville, and maybe even you might be able to draw some from Ohio if if you're not a Cubs, if you're not a Indians or a Reds fan out there. Problem is though, Louisville Stugger Stadium, it's not going to cut it. You'd have to move into the college field there for Louisville because it holds about 55,000. Slugger Stadium, it's great, but it only holds about maybe 13,000. I think it's 13,131 or something like that.
Well, that's another thing. Relocations are very expensive.
Yep.
Very, very expensive.
Of course, and obviously it's the owners and whatnot.
So, I don't know, because I mean, for team wise, the better thing would be to relocate.
Yeah,
but money wise, relocation is awful.
Yeah.
Because whole new merchandising system, whole new stadium. That's a few $100 million, if not billion.
Well, I think the one thing you could probably start experimenting if the league really wants to, they could have exhibition games in like Louisville. See what kind of happens with it.
So just going back to stadiums, how much did the new Marlins Park cost?
About $515 million.
Exactly, and that was a few years ago.
5, yeah.
5. Imagine what a stadium costs now. Not that inflation's gone way up.
No, of course. But I mean, you could be able to transcend that football stadium into a baseball stadium.
I don't know.
It holds 55,000.
I wasn't a fan of when baseball teams played in
Football, yeah.
Or football and baseball stadiums or baseball and football stadiums. I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like it's their home. It almost feels like an away game kind of.
Well, I mean, you kind of share the stadium, don't you? So like.
Well, of course. I mean, you still have the fan support and all, but I mean, for example, when you had the Marlins, they played in, was it Sun Life Park?
Yep.
For the Dolphins.
Miami for the Dolphins.
Yeah, like that was just because I was watching a video the other day of it was a home run montage, and they had McGuire. He hit like some ridiculous 480-foot home run, but it was in Sun Life Park, and they showed the ball going to the stadiums. I counted like 10 people all the way across the stadium.
Marlins, well, I mean, I think Marlins are there to stay, though.
Not that it being in a football field affects attendance, really, but just, I don't know. I didn't like it.
It's just kind of weird. But, I mean, well, it's a quick fix at this point in time. Just, you just stay at the football stadium for maybe 5 years, whatever, and you just, you build. Because, well, it's better than what's going on with the Las Vegas Raiders. They got to stay in Oakland for 2 years while they build the stadium.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Oh, so switching topics here. Do you want to briefly talk about the Golden Knights?
Not really.
No?
Not dealing with Vegas right now.
You don't want to deal with Vegas?
Nah, I think I'd like to switch cities. Yeah, maybe, Buffalo seems like a good fit. You got Boston, who kind of has that kind of rivalry there from going back to hockey. Toronto, that's a good rivalry. New York would be kind of good. Baltimore, I mean, considering that kind of works, I think Buffalo could make a great AL East city. They have, it was the 1993 expansion. It was the NL, whatever. And the way it kind of was set out, there's about 8 different cities that put in the bid. Buffalo was one of the finalists. They ended up losing to Denver, actually, the Rockies. We had their team. And then that also in the expansion was the Marlins. So that's kind of how that kind of got going. So they had like a Florida team and a not Florida team. Because of the 6 finalists, it was Denver, Nashville, Buffalo. And then the Florida-wise, it was St. Petersburg, Miami, and Orlando.
Well, actually, here's what here's one thing I really want to touch upon. Do you think baseball, the sport of baseball, is slowly dying in America?
I don't.
Not one bit. No.
I think realistically, I know football's kind of going a bit downhill.
You think football? I was just gonna say, do you think football's on the uphill?
I don't think so.
No.
No. Especially with the last season, all the primetime games that have been downhill. I mean, it's just it's going down. I think they're going to baseball, and I think they're going to hockey. Even basketball. Actually, basketball too. It isn't pretty good, but.
Well, sorry. The reason why I said that is because baseball, since they play so many darn games, that's half the reason why attendance slacks. I mean, you play 162 games. That's almost a game every 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, it's like 183 days, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's brutal. For the Jays, for example, I was looking at their schedule. They play a week and a half straight, no stops.
Yeah.
It's
just how baseball is, though. You can play every day. That's no problem. So, Buffalo. Basically, kind of the way it was going was a 1993 bid. They ended up bidding for, it was 8 cities, and it was just kind of, Charlotte was actually on there too, which is kind of surprising, but they were eliminated first round. The 6 finalists was Buffalo, Denver, Nashville, and then the other finalists was Miami, Tampa Bay, Orlando.
Sorry if I can butt in here.
Nope.
The only problem I have with Buffalo is the population. It's so small. I mean, not to say that they don't have the fans to support it. I don't know, it just seems like a weird thing for such a small city to have.
Well, I don't think it's Buffalo itself. They also, like, upstate New York.
Well, no, of course, it's not just Buffalo. You have the whole surrounding area. I don't know, it just seems like a very, very small city to have a major league team. I mean, do you think there are other cities who have a bigger population?
There's none. I.e.
Louisville, that deserve a team?
Sorry to think here. Smallest city is Cincinnati, and I think they're at about 319,000 or something like that.
Okay.
It's like they're pretty small. Pittsburgh's there too. Yeah, those are the two smaller markets for baseball.
I don't know. I mean, there's a whole list here of where you could relocate the Rays.
Yeah. What about Charlotte?
No, see, Charlotte's an interesting one. Just because right away, I don't even know if I'd want. But I guess it doesn't matter what I want. But I just can't see Charlotte having a baseball team. I don't know.
I mean, the Hornets do well there. I mean,
well, that's the thing. How are other sports there?
Well, Hurricanes are really the only problem, and looks like they're on the way out.
Okay, so that was a franchise that failed twice, wasn't it?
The Hurricanes?
Yeah, they failed in Hartford, and now they're failing in...
Well, I think they failed more in just financial problems, not just lack of attendance there, but... Yeah, Hartford was kind of a small market in the first place.
I mean... It could work. I mean, honestly, it could work.
I mean, the Charlotte Knights do have a really great following, actually.
Hypothetically, it could work in any city.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know. I just can't see baseball working there.
Well, I mean, Charlotte's got like 810,000 people. So it's not the worst thing. And the new stadium downtown, BB&T Park, it's pretty good. Capacity is a little small, but I mean, you could play at the Bank of America Stadium until, times are finished. But
the only thing I would say, though, about Charlotte, the only good thing, is if you look at their attendance, how much it's skyrocketed.
Oh, yeah.
From 2013 to 2017, went from 3,800 average to 9,000 average.
That's the new stadium, right? So.
Well, of course. I mean, but you look at other teams, they maybe go up 2,000. Buffalo's declined. Yeah, about 1,500.
Louisville's down a bit, but I think it's still strong. Tampa's down too. So. I
mean, that looks promising, but I don't know. I just don't know how baseball would do in Charlotte.
I think they'd be fine, because considering that you've got the 4 states there, you got Kentucky, Tennessee, South Carolina. They're all pretty close and not really that kind of far. I mean, Baltimore and Charlotte, that'd be kind of an interesting rivalry. I mean, I think Charlotte would be a better sell than Tampa Bay, Toronto, but that's just me.
I mean, looking from an owner standpoint, I'm sure they just want to go where the money is.
I think they would prefer to be in the National League, but I mean, you can't count them out.
Going off of that, going off that, going where the money is, where would you put them? Where would you put the Rays?
Where would I put the Rays?
If money was your only motive.
Money was the only motive.
Or the most important motive.
Well, I don't think Montreal, because I was there. I was there in April. It didn't really kind of seem like Montreal fans had the passion for it.
Oh, all right then.
I was a little disappointed actually with kind of how Montreal showed, but at this point in time, there's not really I can really talk about it. Buffalo seems like a good option, but I mean, anywhere you go at this point in time, you have to kind of build. I think realistically, anything out of Tampa, you just gotta get out of Tampa.
You just have to hit. It's kind of a hit and miss.
Tampa's just a nightmare right now. You gotta drop the Trop, and I think realistically, Louisville would be kind of cool. At least if they don't give them baseball, at least give them the NFL, like the Jacksonville Jaguars. That'd be a good choice. But
going to Louisville, I still can't believe their team is called the Bats and not the Sluggers. I mean, every single flippin' bat used, other than Marucci, or is that how you pronounce it?
Marucci, there's Marucci,
is a Louisville Slugger. So I don't know if that, because I'm sure...
Well, I think Bats is just the pun there, kind of with it.
Well, no, of course, I understand the name, but why would you put the Slugger? That just seems like a given.
Well, they got Slugger Stadium.
I know, but still. But anyway... Going back to where the money is.
Could be a professional team.
What about Vancouver? Because don't they have...
Oh, yeah, for Oakland. Well, I mean, the Rays are in the AL East, so you kind of get to go Eastern.
Oh, so you're thinking put Oakland in Vancouver?
That could be an option. I mean, Seattle's kind of right there, too.
What's their baseball team in Vancouver? Is that the
Canadians? No, it's the Canadians.
Oh, I thought it was the Giants.
The Canadians actually have a really good following, actually, which is kind of surprising considering that, it's a small league. Mm-hmm. Their average now is about 6,200 fans, so it's pretty good. And again, it'd probably be the same thing. BC place, and you'd probably have to build a new stadium. Not to mention, but Oakland's had some troubles here and there. They're not really cellar dwellers. They're known to be bottom 5 actually for Oakland, and I think realistically the AL it's not too bad.
Okay, quick question for you then.
Go for it.
Let's say relocation was just way out of budget and it was just not a possibility, and the only possibility was to just become a better team over the years and slowly rebuild.
Moneyball.
What's the first move?
Oof. Billy Beane's been doing well. I'm not really too sure at this point. Oakland, I don't know, because Oakland's there. They've got a good rival with the Giants. I think realistically, you could move them to San Jose. They need a new stadium because that stadium, the Oakland Coliseum, has been there since 1962, and it's been frailing. I know the mayor out there in Oakland has been prioritize the A's first because the Raiders kind of they're on their way out. It's kind of unfortunate, but it's all you can really kind of do with Oakland.
So hold on. With the Rays, do they trade for star players or do they just get rid of their whole core for draft picks?
They're a playoff team, they're a contender, and I think realistically it kind of shows. It's just the fact the fans not there. I think Major League Baseball can do better any other city than Tampa Bay right now. Like, Buffalo's great. I think that'd be kind of great for the rivalries and whatnot. There's also like 2 hours from Toronto, so yeah, that's always a good showing in case, Bisons don't do too well. Louisville's great city for it. I think I've been there 4 times and I've loved the city every single time. The only problem is last time they built that stadium, Louisville Slugger, which they just built, took them 12 years to build it, so that was kind of a bit of a problem there.
That's a bit ridiculous.
I was looking with Louisville. Louisville's kind of had a bit of a problems here. 12 years to build a stadium. Obviously, they had some problems with Kansas City. The architects came from Kansas City, actually, so that kind of probably slowed things down. Charlotte, it's not bad. Attendance is kind of there. It's skyrocketing, and I think realistically with the new stadium, it's one that's kind of there, and I think kind of going forward. But Oakland, it's starting to be a red flag, and I think that's the issue for the Athletics at this point in time.
No, see, that's so sad. They had such a good team.
Well, they still do. They have 9 World Series. They haven't made the playoffs in 3 years.
Well, that's what I mean. They had such a... I don't know, it seems like one of those teams, like the Yankees or...
Yeah, it's a historic franchise.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a historic franchise. So many great memories, and then they're just on the slow decline.
Well, I mean, it's not, you're not going to disband the team. Major League Baseball's not getting any smaller. It's just relocation is kind of weird to kind of consider. It's starting to be an issue, I think, realistically, if they don't get that new stadium. Within maybe 5-10 years, yeah, now it's time. But, it's starting to be an issue. But, they're consistently bottom 5 in terms of attendance. But here's a quick little fact for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the Athletics have been around since at least 1901 when the league amalgamated.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to take a guess the last time that they were first place in attendance in the American League?
90.
You're going to be way off on this one.
Okay. They were first?
Yeah, they were first place in the American League for attendance.
I was going to say the 90s, because isn't that when they had their great historic...
The 90s was the last time that they were... The 90s were the last time, the last kind of great area. I mean, the early 2000s were pretty good to them. The early 2010s, actually, too.
No, okay, then I'm going to guess 77, I don't know.
The last time the Oakland Athletics led the American League in attendance, the year 1925.
Yeah, I was way off. I was way off.
Yeah. The average attendance that year was about 11,000 people. So baseball, and that was only 8 teams in the American League, right? So that's not
bad.
Too bad. But no. I mean, yeah, they're basically the Cubs when it comes to attendance.
Well,
no offense, Cubs fans.
Now, see, here's the thing, though. There are a lot of teams that aren't that good, but always sell out.
Yep.
The Yankees.
Yep.
They've never been a terrible franchise.
Oh, they are far from terrible.
No, absolutely not. They're not terrible, but they've had a few seasons where they've been, 7, 8 games below.
Yep.
Or 6 games back, and they still sell out.
Yep.
Same with the Jays. I will look at, for example,
in 2015.
Well, I know, but they're still selling out every weekend.
Yeah, because they still believe.
Well, that's the thing. What are they now? 39 and 38.
They're 42 and 48.
Are they?
Yep.
Oh.
6 below 500.
Oh, well then. Anyway, so yeah, they're 6 below 500, and they're still selling out.
Yeah.
And then you have a team like Tampa,
Who's?
I was just looking. Right now, they're 49-43. They're only 2.5 back.
Yep. They got the first wild card spot.
Second in the AL East, and they're still only getting
15,000 a game.
Yeah, exactly. That's
terrible.
That's brutal. That is very bad.
But looking with Oakland, though, I mean, there's not really. I wouldn't say that there's not really many other options to move the team. Let's just nip this one in the butt right now. Las Vegas.
Wow.
The 51's attendance record is nowhere near what it needs to be. So you can keep the
Golden Knights.
Keep the Golden Knights, keep the Raiders. Don't worry, Oakland. They're not going to Las Vegas. I can guarantee that one. San Jose, kind of the same thing, really. I mean, San Jose is the bigger city than Oakland, but the Giants. The attendance for that haven't exactly been the best. Vancouver seems like a pretty good option, actually, considering that Seattle's right there. That'd be a pretty great rivalry.
That's another city that just seems weird to have any sports.
Seattle or Vancouver?
Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas
I mean,
is...
10 years ago, no one would have ever thought that there would be now an NHL team.
Well, I mean, they've always kind of had the great population there.
Well, of course.
Sports-wise, Vegas isn't exactly, been kind of known. I know Pittsburgh tried to get them before Crosby, but, I mean, at this point in time, you just kind of got to see what happens. But I think Vegas is fine. You don't need to move your team to Las Vegas. But I think the only real other option, I think, is Vancouver. Nashville is actually really good with the sounds there. They've got a great attendance, and apparently they can turn that stadium into a professional one if they wanted to, with a few minor tweaks. But we'll see what happens. And then Portland, I'd say probably is the biggest gamble, considering you've got Seattle there. And, they've had... You've got the rivalry right there built into the American League with Portland.
Well, okay, so going off this list of cities, here's what I think.
Yeah.
For baseball teams, Louisville and Vancouver deserve a baseball team. For hockey team, definitely Seattle. I think Seattle.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to baseball, I say Louisville.
Louisville's looking good. I like Charlotte, though. I think Charlotte's got a great choice, though. Charlotte, Louisville, Montreal, kind of. Buffalo is I'd say it's a long shot in Buffalo.
Well, hold on. With most of these, though, the only reason why they failed was because of money.
Yeah.
Is that
fueled by fans?
Well, I was just going to say, is that all fans just not paying to go see them, and then they're just going bankrupt, or?
I'm not sure. It could be misownership, but who knows?
Well, because I mean, if they went bankrupt because there were no fans, I'm not saying that would happen now in 2017, but I don't know if you'd want to go back and take a gamble again.
I wouldn't with Montreal.
No?
I think Charlotte's doing well. I think Louisville will be fine. It's just a matter of just kind of seeing what would kind of be up. I like Charlotte as a National League city. I don't know how well they do in the American League. But, I think eventually they got their spot. For Oakland, the real replacement only really I could see is Vancouver. Portland would be a really big gamble. It's kind of like when the Jays got their team, 77. That was huge. That was a huge risk that they took because they didn't really have any minor league teams that were kind of big out in Toronto. No. Portland's kind of the same thing. They've got the Great West League, but, who cares? At that point in time. Stupid question. Third Los Angeles team. Out of the question?
What's with all the teams moving to LA now?
Hey, Will Smith moves to LA. Who's there to stop him? I mean, you look at the Dodgers. They've been number one in the National League for attendance the last 5 years. And looking at the Angels, they've been top 3 for the last 5 years as well. And they haven't always been the best team.
Have they actually?
Yeah.
What?
Yep. Jays, Yankees, Angels. Yep.
That's odd. I didn't ever...
Yeah, there's a lot of love for baseball.
I thought they would have been maybe 10th, 9th or 10th. But wow.
Nope, they're in the American League. They've been the third best in the American League for attendance. And, they haven't always been the best for it. They were first in the 2014 season.
So what I'm hearing is...
a third team in Los Angeles.
It all comes down to the fans.
Yes.
Whether you rebuild is up to the fans. Whether you relocate is up to the fans.
Well, it's not always the fans' decision there.
No, but here's the thing. Going back to whether or not teams relocated because of fans or because of money. If you don't have fans, then there's not really money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's supply and demand. You need.
I think the question with Los Angeles is how much of the baseball do you really have out there? Because you got the Angels, you've got the Dodgers. Would you put in the Athletics? Because like the Athletics, the LA A's. I mean, it kind of sounds alright, but I think Oakland fans are a little too pissed off about having their teams moving to Los Angeles all the time.
I don't know, because if you relocate, that's going to cost a lot and tons of money.
Yep.
Now, if you relocate, it's going to cost, let's just throw out a number, $700 million for the stadium, for the merch, everything.
That's
so $700 million.
But how much would you earn back?
Not just that.
Over like 5-year period. How much would you earn back? Probably more.
Well,
if you do it right.
If you do it right. Now, there's been a lot of busts that have happened in baseball where they moved and...
Yep. Seattle Pilots. There were a few others.
Yeah. Well, exactly. So, I don't. It's tough. It's
the
tough.
third Los Angeles team, though.
It's tough. I can see
it would work. I mean, it did work in New York back in the day when they had the Giants, Dodgers, and the Brooklyn Dodgers, the New York Giants, and the Yankees. I mean, third Los Angeles team wouldn't be out of the question.
Mm-hmm. Of course, and then they moved to LA,
and
like
every
every
Angels
team does.
that cost. Oh, yeah.
Is that just
NFL needs to chill.
Is that just the new thing now? Just move to LA?
Well, I mean, it is a safe bet. It's a safe bet here too. Yeah, I think Oakland's fine. They just need a new stadium at this point.
By the way, what stadium are the Raiders using? Isn't that like the
Oakland Coliseum? Same one as the A's.
No, I thought it was the
same one as the A's.
Oh.
Yep. They're staying there for the next 2 years.
I thought it was the college one that they used.
Nope.
College stadium. Oh.
Nope. They're using the Coliseum now. But yeah, I'm thinking Oakland's fine. They're good for like another 5 years or so. I think we need to start thinking about building that stadium in Oakland though, because I think that's what we got to do to keep them there. Tampa Bay, ship out, please, because you're really kind of embarrassing the fans here.
So did you hear about who's possibly buying the Marlins?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, there's going to be a surprise. Jeter.
A-Rod.
No, I think it was Jeter, and then I don't know if this was a business partner or he was just on board with the idea and he thought it was a good idea, but Jordan.
Okay, that's not
buying the Marlins. Do you think they're going to relocate them if they do?
No, because both of them have houses in Florida.
Very true.
Yeah.
All right, never mind. I was gonna.
I think the Marlins are fine. They spent too much on the stadium to leave at this point in time. The fans, they're there.
There has an aquarium.
Yeah, so just Tampa Bay.
Well, remember that one day you texted me. You told me. What was it? Make a list of the best stadiums.
Yeah.
And I told you Marlins Park, and you gave me so much. You didn't like the idea.
Yeah, I'd rather go to the older ones. Busch, Wrigley, that way.
Pardon me.
We're thinking, Louisville, Charlotte, all good options. Buffalo, Montreal, Tampa Bay, not really at this point in time. I think it's time to get rid of the Florida experiment.
Couldn't agree more with you, honestly.
They need a new stadium anyway, so now's the time to move them. And I think realistically, exhibition games for those Rays, you put them in another city like Louisville or Charlotte or even Montreal or Buffalo, just see what happens. I think Manfred's just gonna, gotta just kind of take the bull by the horns and just go for it.
Take out all the Florida teams, put them in those places.
Nah, well, there's some Florida teams there.
Well, there's some, but most of them. The Bucks, garbage.
There's a few here and there, I think.
The Marlins, the Rays, garbage. So,
I think that's all.
I could list a few more, but yeah, I think Florida is not the best place for sports. It's more of a retirement state.
Nice population, though.
Yeah, that's true.
But, I mean, not really you can do. Anyways, I think that's the end of us. Thank you all so much for watching, and hopefully you have a great day.